Hello fellow academics and welcome back to Academiton. Today I'm trying a very different approach. We're gonna focus on one thing in particular, and that is solving our garbage crisis. Full disclosure, I had done the video already. I've played it all through, it worked all out. It was beautiful, at least I think so, and I might be biased, but apparently I forgot to press record. So let's try this again, and maybe it will be a bit more entertaining and a bit more straightforward. So like I mentioned before, we are having our garbage crisis right here where our landfill is full. Now, as we are sorting things out, we're gonna give our landfill a little bit more playground to sort of help us survive through that period of time. And that is in part just us extending our garbage facility, our landfill in this area back here. And by the end of the episode, we are gonna claim all of this back. Okay, so what I looked at in the video that you guys have not seen was actually the groundwater. And one thing that I noticed is the deposit over here seems to actually be, for whatever reason, going down. Not entirely sure why. If you guys know, please do let me know. Which made me think though that in the long run, we're trying to save this area here to put in our geothermal power plant. But with the groundwater kind of disappearing, that became a little bit pointless. So instead of using that area down there, I think this area over here will be our future plan for the geothermal power plant, which will allow us to expand our garbage processing facilities over here much easier. So, and that is exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna buy this one piece of land right here, and this is where our playground will be. Having said all that, we're also, just to make sure we can easily connect this up, we're going to move our landfill area a little bit away from this corner right here, so we can actually put in a path from here into that new area that we have just unlocked. And I'm just gonna put down a single road, which will help us guide our future expansion steps. So I'm also going to fully connect this through down to here, and this is where we're going to switch from a normal 2-lane road to a 4-lane road, because in the long run I want it to be connected with that entrance over here. So I've just put in this part of the road, and that is way too much. So let's take it down and put in another road stub that we will be working on later on once we unlock that additional section in the corner there. And we're going to have this double road continue, and it might in the long run expand over here, having a very nice flow for our traffic from this part all the way to our highway access. All right, so we've done all of this. The next thing that we are going to work on is, and we're going to place it, well, this time around at least, and I can say this even though you guys haven't seen it. We're going to flatten out a little bit of the space over here, which will allow us to put our incineration plant over here. Now you might be saying, oh, hold on a second, this entire build has been so beneficial or so intent on being green, and we're not giving up on that. But for now, for this particular city, as it is right now, the incineration plant makes a lot of sense. Not only will it help with sorting out our garbage processing issues, it will also create additional power that we can sell to the world, well, the Cities Skylines world, which will then enable us to make more profit. And you know how the gnomes of South Park say, profit is the end of all goals. So let's definitely, follow the norms of South Park approach. Okay, so I've put in a 2-lane road up here, and the ultimate plan is basically to connect this 2-lane road with our 2-lane road that is directly in front of our garbage or our landfill facility over there. The reason is, I think we're gonna keep the landfill as it will provide us with an overflow area and garbage collection opportunities that can then be processed by our incineration plant. So, having done all of this, now is the big time where we need to build the incineration plant. An incineration plant will cost us, or will set us back, £1 million, which is a lot, but it'll be worth it for all the reasons that I have just outlined. And we do want to see that our incineration plant actually has enough space to be placed in here, and I didn't go quite far back enough, so we are going to fix this by removing a bit more off that hill, but we're also going to make sure that we're mellowing out the slope a little bit, just to be a little bit more, at least on the realistic side. And that will give us enough space to put this in, which is exactly what we're gonna do next. So we're gonna go into loans, we're gonna take out a loan until we have about 100,000 more than 1 million. Oh, that was a bit too much. So let's pay a little bit back. We now have 100,000 over 1 million, which will allow us to place our incineration plant right there. And we're going to place it exactly where it fits, which will give us a little bit of space in this corner over there for future extension of potential offices or other facilities that will help us. And the next thing, and one of the most important things, is we are going to connect our power up from our incineration plant to our transformer station, so we can immediately sell that excess energy that we are producing. Now, while this connectivity pattern over here is a little bit funky, it will ultimately do its job and allow us to sell, like I said, this excess power that we're producing through our facility right here. Now we are going to continue this little alleyway, and I made that an alleyway on purpose, as it will only provide access to our incineration plant. So there's no other connectivity that will be part of this road network, or this connectivity or Cooper Lane. Let's just call it what it is. Let's call it Cooper Lane. All right. The next thing that we are going to do is we're also going to connect up this road right here to our now created 4-lane road, which will provide a secondary entrance and access point for all of our vehicles, as we are going to use this additional space to create more industry zoning. And we're just going to place it, let's make it about this size, which will allow us to put a decent amount of additional industrial buildings in here. And just because it looks more fun, we're going to block off the zoning over here, which will make the zoning a bit more focused on those side roads. I wonder if I delete these again, if the zoning will remain where we had put it. Most of it will actually remain, so we're going to leave it as that, and we're going to immediately fill this up with industry zoning, meaning our demand is going down rapidly, but I'm very hopeful that it will recover very quickly once all of this has filled in. We also have a bit more office demand, and I think this area just in front of our incineration plant is actually a great area to have additional offices. Having seen this though, they're all facing what I consider the wrong way. So let's see if we can't fix this. And in order to do so, we're going to remove the lane that we have put in there. I'm going to quickly start this. Oh, this went out a little bit too far because I still have the fill tool on. So have it quickly fill it up before we're putting back in our alleyway. That will reconnect our incineration plant to the world. And all of these look a little bit better in terms of where they are connected. So that will do for us. All right. Industry demand has recovered as well. So we are going to fill the rest up over here with more industry. And my hope would be that this industry that we are placing right here will have some synergy with the incineration plant. This is not how Cities Skylines II works, but in my head, I would like to believe so. All right, let's have a look. We are not at the maximum here, right? Which is already awesome, but more importantly, we're still making money. So while we might have been in a little bit of a pickle, the immediate access to the power supply, the electricity production from the incineration plant definitely helps us, as well as the extension of our industry area into this new industry zone that we have created. All right, so with that, we have definitely massively expanded both our industry and our garbage processing facilities. Now, in the long run, we want to reduce the size of that landfill. And as the incineration plant is working, we will actually be able to reduce the size of this, so we can make this connection from here over there. And all of these trucks that are currently, as you see, taking down this path, and I guess this one is now picking up garbage over here, they will actually not have to take this path. All right. Awesome. So what is next? We have now this new industry zone, so we want to make sure that we're also connecting it up with our communication area. And for that, we're just going to put in a mailbox that is kind of a collector mailbox that will allow the post office in downtown to pick up all of the mail that is being produced off this entire industry area and keep our area over here happy. The next thing we're going to do, and we're already making a good amount of money, but we're not done yet. We have a bunch of services that are currently underfunded, including healthcare. So we're bumping this up to 100%. We're also bumping up education to 100%. And we're gonna go through this and take every one of our services back up to 100%. It's been bugging me for a long time that this is happening, that we're underfunding our services in our city. And currently we are making a little bit of a loss, but we're already recovering, which is great. So with this, our city is back to its maximum potential, which I'm very excited about, because this is how we can ultimately grow the city and make it better. Don't know if you can tell, but as of 2025, especially since the last episode where I fixed all of the demand problems that we had, I'm much more excited about playing this. Look at this, everything is green. There's demand growing everywhere, including for the offices that we can start to slowly fill up. But we're not going to do all of that in this episode. We're back in the plus, which is awesome. $2,000, great. We're also going to go back to the industry area that we had created over here. And this industry area, at least in my head, would be focusing a lot on wood industries, meaning for creating paper or furniture or things like this, anything that is related to timber, so to speak, as well as utilizing our ore from up here to turn that into goods that can be sold to the outside world. So we are going to fill up this last bit over here that was still completely empty, as we didn't have the demand in the last episode. Now we do, so now we're putting this back in. Okay, so what is next? As we are waiting for our landfill to empty out, and it's doing a pretty good job at doing so, let's actually immediately reduce the size over here. We can't reduce it all the way yet, but we can definitely make it a lot smaller. Now we're almost back at the maximum again. It doesn't matter, because our incineration plant will actually be doing the work that will allow us to, fix all of this. Now, as you can see, a ton of garbage is piling up here. And still not entirely sure what these weird grid things are that are just poking out vertically. If you guys know, please do let me know. I'd be just really keen to learn. Anyways, so we do want to further expand our city as well. Now, we do have a good amount of demand in terms of housing as well as commercial, which means we could consider placing some additional commercial down, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Now, what has happened here? A car has burned down. Very unfortunate, because there was a traffic accident, which in part is probably because we had reduced the funding for our road services. That is now completely fixed. So hopefully our peeps will be a bit safer. So the next thing we're going to do is, instead of putting in commercial, we're going to expand our low density residential area right over here. So this part there, here is again predestined to be beautifully expanded for additional low density housing. And we're going to do the same that we did last time and just plunk down a bunch of our UK buildings to hopefully get the very similar vibe to what we have over here. Now these assets look awesome. I mean, look at this house, beautiful. And even though I've just put in 3 of these squares, our demand is already recovering, so people do want to move in, and why wouldn't they? Look how happy they are. Awesome. The next thing we can do, we're now making $6,000 an hour, so we are already starting to pay back our loans, because this will reduce our monthly cost from 101,000 to 78,000, ultimately increasing how much money we will make per hour. And we're now up to almost 8,000. Awesome again. So let's look at what our citizens really need. They are a bit unhappy about the unreliable health coverage, so a bit of that will have been sorted by me raising the funds again to have 100% funding. But our entire city currently relies on a single medical center. So we will need to expand this in the long run, and we will make plans for that as we are moving through this. All right. So instead, let's see what else we can put in. I think some more offices that could be put down would be quite well placed over here, where we had kept a bit of space just to make sure our buildings over here are not gonna be super small. So we are going to put in or remove these roads, and we're also going to remove the mixed zone user. I didn't need to go in here. I'm going to remove this one strip in the back here that is not being utilized by our mixed housing. And actually, let me quickly double check. I'm going to pause this just to make sure. We can actually do the same on the other side. Not over here apparently, and we wouldn't want to do the Japanese zoning because all of these are German buildings. All right, with this, unfortunately, it did not connect the zoning back to this road. I wonder if we can actually force this to happen. So let's give this a try, putting in a path over here, which might give it at least the idea of putting the zoning on the other road. We're immediately going to delete that. Let's have a look, and that did not work. Not a problem. We're still going to put in our offices on the other side in this small strip, which will make a bit more use of our Valley Street, our arterial that basically runs through our city and connects it with this industry area over here. All right, with that, we have completely killed our demand for offices again, but I am pretty sure it will recover as people are happy and there's still high skill labor available, so it will come back. Awesome. All right, so we've done all of this. Let me actually quickly double check if we had put in a mailbox over here, just to make sure, and we have not. We have completely neglected this area on this side. So we're going to put in a mailbox on the back of this road, which our post office then can pick up and make sure everyone is happy. All right, now we're up to almost 10 grand an hour and our city is thriving, which is amazing. The one thing that is still bugging me, we do have unreliable internet service because we do not have any internet service in our entire area. So if we go into our communications tab and look into here, we could at least put down a radio mast. We could also put down the Japanese one, but this radio station is much, much bigger compared to the much smaller radio mast that we would have over here. And considering we have a little hill in the back just behind the schools, where last time we had expanded more of the low density housing, it's predestined to actually put one of these masts in here because it is on a hill and will definitely improve the connectivity over there. So we're going to put in another path over here, which will allow us to put it on a little bit of a side road. And we're going to do this right away because we already have the money for it. With 25,000, we can definitely do this. Let's plug it in here. And all of a sudden, we have internet connectivity. And here I'm not entirely sure why it doesn't actually show me what the increase in range would be. Much more traffic, antenna extension that increases the network coverage area. So let's actually already put this in here. It does cost us 750 a month, which is basically nothing. And this is actually 1,500 a month. So let's put this in as well, just to make our citizens a bit more happy and the internet more reliable. Because who knows, maybe we do have some YouTube creators in our city of Academiton, some academic who wants to unwind. Maybe the bell rings, who knows. Okay, jokes aside, I think for this little per month, we should just do it because it will basically not affect our bottom line. All right. So we've already made significant expanses or expanding zones or expanding projects in our beautiful little town. So let's go back to the landfill and see how much more we can shrink it. We're actually at almost half of the capacity, so that means we should be able to completely remove this over here, and hopefully not quite invalid shape. It doesn't say that it cannot be done. It can be done. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten out that garbage area over here. Removing this, removing that point, and then we're just going to, like I said, straighten this out 180 degrees here and 90 degrees over there. Just the area is a tiny bit too small, so let's leave it as it is for now. But we have made enough space so we can connect this road over here, which will allow us, we're still on the grid. which will actually allow us to make a shortcut between our landfill and our incineration plant, which will again speed all of this up. Now this garbage truck is kind of stuck. We should also actually remove a bunch of these pedestrian crossings over here, because again, don't need that much pedestrian mobility, at least not into our incineration plant. All right, with that, trucks are driving in, everything seems to be flowing okay. It is loading up. We are making a good amount we're processing a good amount, which is awesome. The only downside, it's not green. But I think at this point, we need to make sure that our city is viable and we're actually making a good amount of money. 15 grand an hour, awesome. So we can properly expand our city, and in the long run, let's talk about retiring this and replacing it with much greener options. All right, overall, I still already like it quite a ton because it reduced the area of our landfill over here. We could consider putting this in, but at the moment, let's not do it yet. Instead, we're going to go back into our zoning tool, and now we can make this a right angle, which will significantly reduce the size of our landfill area to a much more reasonable place that it should be. Now, that was a massive crash over here. 4 cars involved. Well, that's, 4 cars involved. It's just a trailer over here, interesting. But our police is handling it and freeing things up. You see the hearts popping up around the city. Living near the industrial area is terrible. Oh, that's actually, I've never seen this before. Where is it? Living near the industrial area. Which industrial area? Oh, you're talking about this area down here, aren't you? All right. Which means that is something for us to focus on. But look at the hearts popping up. And our demand is still there. You know, I'm taking just there, which means that is definitely a problem solved. All right. We're still making 13 grand an hour. We have made 100 grand. Let's pay back more stuff. Another $13,000 or $16,000 less per month, which means our hourly income actually increases massively. And I'm just very excited about all of this. People still very happy. The healthcare coverage, that is again something that we should probably focus on. Now, there's a lack of coverage in that zone over here and technically over here. But for now, it kind of makes sense because at the moment we only have 1 clinic, which is actually only 50% in use. So I think it's doing okay for now. But in the long run, we probably want to put in a more, or at least a bigger facility for our patients to be able to be treated. And I'm thinking maybe we'll put it somewhere in the forest. I know in some countries at least it is considered healing if you're in a forest area. Forest bathing is quite popular or for health reasons. So it is something, again, that we can consider and will consider in the future. All right, I think we have made that progress that I wanted to. We have completely solved our garbage crisis this time around. Well, it is not green yet, and there's not much we can actually really do in order to make our incineration plant a bit greener. I think it will ultimately solve our acute needs, and in the long run, like I said, we can fix it with a recycling center. We still have an area carved out over here that we will be using, but we've made significant progress that allows our citizens to live and us to make some more money. 14,000, we've actually made another 40 grand. Let's immediately pay this back, and then I'm going to stop paying things back because for the next episode we will need a little bit of money. There are a couple of mulligans that we need to address in the long run. For example, this is kind of a very close distance between the house and that wind turbine over there. We're talking about 60 meters, which is 60 yards, or approximately 60 yards, so it is very close. Now, I've looked up a video on the noise these wind turbines make, and considering they only should be running if the wind is strong enough, the noise that the wind makes will actually overshadow or be about the same decibel level as these wind turbines once you're about 250 yards away, about 2.5 football fields. Or actually, yeah, 2.5 football fields. I think that's a good comparison. So people over here will probably complain. Also, this area right here is really close to our downtown area, so I could see developers trying to purchase this area and turn that into a new developmental zone to help our city grow and expand. And then we probably want to consider removing these and maybe even replacing it for a long-term, more sustainable energy source, such as the geothermal power plant. With only 16,000 people, I think that's a little bit further away, so it is a consideration that we do have. Another consideration would be to put in our train system before we expand our city too much and that connection becomes a little bit less feasible. So let's see how we're gonna tackle this. But we'll leave that up for the next episode, and I am going to end it here. If you did like that episode, smash that like button, leave a comment. If you didn't like the episode, please leave a comment as well. I'm keen to learn what you would like to see, how I could improve my video skills and, make this more entertaining, because I'm having fun and I would love for you guys to have fun as well. Otherwise, it'd be awesome if you consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.